It's been anticipated, it's here, but is it any good? Yep, we're talking It Chapter 2. I'm Van Connor.
And I'm Becks Perfect, and this is Offscreen.
Your 7-day guide to everything movies. Boom. Welcome to Offscreen. So, Miss Perfect.
I know, back again for another week of great movies. Everything that you need on the big screen, the small screen, streaming, your telly, it's everything. I mean, that is the small screen, right?
I think, well, technically speaking, everything except theatrical now can be small screen.
Yeah.
Really. We can literally have these things on our phones, can't we?
On your phone, your tablet, your computer, your telly. So many options.
Did I tell you about that train I got on from London to Cambridge a few weeks ago? And there were about 6 different people with tablets watching the same camcorded rip of Hobbs and Shaw.
Oh, wow.
That was so weird.
That is impressive. I have to say, I've just had a conversation this morning where I was saying that because we don't live in an era where we have like 5 channels or 4 channels for anyone else that thinks further back.
God, we're old.
I know, right? The fact is there's so many different offerings out there in terms of content for you to watch that you can't actually come together and just chat about the thing that you might have seen on a Sunday night, unless it's something that massive like Peaky Blinders or
event series.
Yeah, event series stuff. So I think that's a little bit of a shame because I go in and do my reviews on various different platforms and I kind of say, hey, have you caught this week or whatever? And they're like, no, but I might check it out at some point and I can obviously watch it on catch up. So you're never aligned. It's really difficult.
It's funny you say that because the best film that I think is out in cinemas this week is one that I actually got on a link and watched on my TV at home.
Oh, well, I'm intrigued.
And versus, the other ones that you see on like an IMAX screen. It's very, very weird. Shall I kick off by that?
Yeah, let's kick off.
So rapid response. first film we're going to talk about in cinemas this week. So,
is this an animation?
No, it looks like it from the poster, doesn't it? No, it's a documentary.
Oh, right.
So, it's a documentary about Dr. Stephen Olvey, who he comes up as like a young fan of motorsport racing, like the Indy 500.
Yeah, nice.
And he's a child in sort of like the early 50s, the late 50s, mid to late 50s, I would say.
Okay.
When the sport has no safety whatsoever. There's no concept of safety in the sport. Racers die within weeks. Wow. And as we're told at one point, when you were a kid, you just got used to the morbid idea that you picked a favourite racer and then 2 weeks later he was dead and you just picked another one. And
wow, that is really morbid.
So this guy winds up going to medical school and becoming a doctor and sets up what is now the global standard of safety for all motorsports across the globe.
How was this ignored before?
I know, right?
Tom Carnegie was the announcer back then, and he said, "We regret to announce that Bill Vukovich has been mortally wounded." And I didn't know what the word mortal meant, so I turned to my father and I said, "Great, he was only wounded." My dad had to tell me that meant he was killed, and I was pretty devastated. Safety was sort of an afterthought in those days. There were firemen there were no paramedics. Drivers would stop their car and run over and try to get somebody out of a burning car. And unfortunately, if there was a real severe accident, the driver was often fatally injured.
I'm really annoyed that this is not what I thought it was because I'd actually been really interested to go and watch this now.
You've gone and seen this
I
one,
thought, do you know what? I judged the movie by the poster. I was like, do you know what? I'm not really that into racing, so I wasn't really that fussed to see an animation about that. I actually thought it was something like Cars,
Just a really traumatic version of Cars. Well, This is the thing. First of all, do not see this if you are squeamish.
Oh.
There is a lot of footage of actual car wrecks and things like that, and some really visceral, gruesome, terrifying, you can never unsee them images.
Oh my goodness, I definitely want to go and see this.
Like, this is like a Formula One car just driving through a person and detonating them, kind of gruesome.
Wow.
And you see this in archival like 8mm footage.
Do you know what certificate this is?
So it is it's a 12A.
Wow, and you've just described.
I know.
Wow.
And
okay.
I sat there and watched this with, I think I had Wendy Ide on one side and Jamie East on the other, and Jamie and I were just sort of clenched together the entire movie, like, oh my god, this is horrifying. However, outside of that stuff, which does feel a little crass and a little put in there as a sort of crash bang wallop what a video kind of a riff.
Yeah.
Those world's greatest accidents kind of videos you used to get in Halfords on the VHS shelf.
Yeah.
That's another dating myself.
Oh, yes,
isn't it?
you really are.
Carbon dating.
I think I do know that. I don't think I remember
so.
that.
That used to be the only place you could buy Clarkson videos once upon a time. Anyway, so on top of that, though, which does have that slightly crass feel,
Yeah.
Although the story is gripping and it is interesting, outside of that, it does feel like yet another made-for-a-sports channel, between events, docu-filler kind of a thing.
Well, you know what? Like with the likes of like movies like Senna and documentaries along those lines that have changed the format of documentaries and how we view them, the bar has been set a lot higher.
That's it, isn't it? This is very televisual at the side of something like you say, of Senna, of even what was the Audi TT one that they did in 3D?
Goodness,
that was great.
Was it?
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not really into cars that much.
But you're always such a bro. We just assume.
I know. Well, I did love Senna. I actually bought it on DVD.
Did you?
Yeah, I loved it so much.
Okay, well, that's to say, if you're not into motorsports, that's actually really something as well.
Yeah. Okay, so we're moving on a little bit here to something which I have no idea what this is about, but I've seen a smile on your face as we're about to talk about this. This is a movie that is in cinemas from Friday. It's called The Shiny Shrimps.
Yep.
I had to say that very carefully.
Yep.
And it's rated 15. So that doesn't sound like a kids' movie, which is what the title would allude to.
So this is the thing. Okay, so this is a very soft serve film. You know, as far as edges go, this is basically soft scoop Mr. Whippy ice cream, but it is in the vein of something like Cool Runnings. So I would describe this. I would describe this as a gay French water polo Cool Runnings. If you can imagine that.
Okay, my mind is blown.
Right. So the story, and this is apparently loosely based on real events, on some true events.
Okay.
It is not specifically a period piece. It seems to be set like now, although the story obviously won't be. It follows an Olympic swimmer who makes who delivers a homophobic slur, whether unintentionally or not is irrelevant based on his mood at the time.
Yeah.
But he does it to a gay journalist after one of his matches. As punishment for this, the federation, the sports federation, kicks him out unless he agrees to community service on an LGBT sports project, which they assign him to the gay water polo team. With the aim that he has to then take them to the gay games in Croatia, which, again, real thing, didn't realise it was in Croatia.
There's a gay game?
There's a gay game.
Oh my God, I'm booking my ticket right now.
And that's what I was going to say. I'll tell you something, we've been missing out on all the parties, because watching this movie you think, clearly that's where it's at. This is like Robin Williams' The Birdcage every night of the week, and there's a pool.
Oh my goodness.
So, yeah.
This sounds like this sounds like firstly a trip by your description of it, but also so much fun.
Yeah, really, really, really out there, really fun, but also it's got a lot of heart. And it goes for, like I say, when I say soft scoop, like Cool Runnings is, I only mean in that Cool Runnings obviously has quite a racial storyline in it that doesn't really get explored, for instance, because it's the soft serve version. This is kind of, again, in some cases like
the early 90s.
Again, but there's bits that are quite Cool Runnings, and there are bits that are quite Priscilla Queen of the Desert, where they're on the bus. They have a open top double decker tour bus.
Will I well up watching this? Has it got a protagonist in it that you're following and rooting for?
I don't think you will quite as much. I mean, there's some really insightful comedy in there, as in I quite enjoyed, for instance, I enjoy any LGBT film now exploring the rifts and the differences and the disagreements between various factions of the LGBT community. I think that's fascinating.
Yeah.
And seeing that in something like this and dealt with in the way this movie does is terrific.
Oh, that's interesting.
That is genuinely brilliant. However, for every, let's say, 2 of those, you do get one very old, very worn trope that you would like to think we were past at this stage in culture.
Yeah.
And and that's the problem. It is that balancing act, but it does tip more in the favour of the good than the bad. I had a really good time with it, though. So for me, it's a two thumbs up movie.
Well, I was going to ask, because actually, 2 thumbs up for this is great. I mean, it's not going to be on a wide theatrical release,
Not
so
no.
you're going to have to search it out. But it sounds like it's going to be worth it, right?
I mean, like I said to you, you would absolutely love this.
Yeah, I don't know what that says about me, but I just love things that are fabulous.
I've seen your Insta feed. That's what it is. It's colourful and fun and happy.
Stuff we need more of in this current climate as well.
But it does have meaning as well.
Oh, that's good. And just rewinding back a little bit, Rapid Response, another film that you're really passionate about this week. How many thumbs are you giving it?
I was gonna give that 1 thumb.
Okay.
1 thumb and 1 thumb up, 1 thumb down.
Right.
It didn't go all the way for me. It did feel like filler. A lot of it felt like filler. It was entertaining filler, but I did come out of it thinking, I'll read the wiki page and probably get more out of it.
Ah, I see. But if you are into the gore and gruesome bits, then you've got an option there. So listen, there's so much here for everyone this week. There's going to be an option. We're obviously about to talk about the big release this week as well, but these two seem to be very different. One's fabulous and one is just gory as. So we'll see if we can top that with the big movie release of the week. Well, we promised you the big movie of the week, and this is a movie that every single person I've seen that has walked past the poster has looked twice at and is actually going to be, wanting to see this the moment it comes out on Friday. So this is, of course, it's It, Chapter 2. It spawned its own kind of immersive walkthrough in London's vaults, which sold out in milliseconds.
Did you get to go?
I didn't get to go. Oh. I know, I'm so frustrated. But, this is the movie that I think we've all been waiting for because of many different reasons. Number one being the continuation of a very successful first outing of this kind of new reboot of this franchise.
First movie is legit.
Yeah, right. I know. And this one is now set 27 years after the first events that took place in Derry in the United States. We've got the team, which are the Losers Club. They basically come back together to see if they can defeat the demonic clown Pennywise. But coming home brings not only the fear, but also all of these memories that they've tried to get rid of.
When Mike called me, I threw up.
When Mike called me, I crashed my car.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Man, I hear you. I mean, my heart was literally like pounding right out of my chest.
I thought it was only me.
It was like pure fear. It's fear.
Why'd we all feel like that, Mike? You remember something we don't you, Mike?
Something happens to you when you leave this town. Farther away, the hazier it all gets. But me, I never left. So yeah, I remember all of it.
Pennywise.
Now, I think anyone that listens to that is going to wonder, what are those maracas that are playing right at the
Fortune
end? Yeah, fortune cookies that mess with your mind.
I remember that bit being in the 1990 version. I had somehow forgotten about it from the novel.
Right.
But the effects have not gotten terribly much better, though, if we're honest.
Hold your horses, mister.
Okay.
Look, I'm just going to set the scene for everyone listening in. So basically, there have been a mixed bag of reviews. Some which are giving this film 5 stars, some which are giving it 2. I think we're going to play that game of tennis today, where we're going to kind of bat and forth on how we think that this film actually pans out.
Are we playing Pong? Are we playing review pong?
We're going to play review Pong. So I'm going to start with what I think is really good about this.
Okay, go.
I'm going to kick off with the casting, because for me, I think we had a really solid child cast in the original It movie. I'm not talking about the Tim Curry version.
In the 2017.
I'm talking about 2017 version here. It made it feel like The Goonies, Stranger Things, kind of that kind of retro vibe, which is so on trend at the moment, and it brought it into the filmatic scape, and it's allowed us to then get re-involved with probably the most terrifying and iconic horror clown, which is obviously Pennywise.
Oh, hell no. Hell yes.
Yeah.
Now, yeah.
And this time we have Jessica Chastain plays Bev in it. We've got James McAvoy playing Bill. We've got Bill Hader playing Richie.
Oh, Bill Hader, baby.
Oh, I mean, the cast is solid. We've also got, for any Neighbours fans, a guy who used to play Jack Scully in Neighbours is now come back as Ben.
Oh, is that who he is?
Yeah, that's who he is. I did some Googling.
Who's the guy from the Old Spice ads who plays Mike now?
Oh, I don't know.
Because every scene he's in, I just see him like standing in front of that shower with the towel around his waist.
Well, funny enough for me, Old Spice ads don't really kind of resonate, so I'll leave that one to you.
They were funny ads.
But to be honest, the casting and I think the juxtaposition from the kids to the adults works almost seamlessly, because you've got a great quality batch of actors here, and they portray something that I loved about the first one. Is it's not necessarily the jump scares that you see on screen that really gets you. It's their reactions and their fear that they're resonating.
Absolutely. You wholeheartedly believe it, don't you? Like,
yeah,
you
do.
feel it for them. That's the thing. They are quite good at conveying that absolute dread through you.
I could do without all of the effects, because I think I was scared enough just by watching or anticipating how they were going to feel. So that's a really positive point of that. Give me a negative.
Give me a negative. Okay. For the most part, it's It 1.5. I really wanted to see It 2.
Ouch.
I mean, literally, there's so much fan service in this movie. This is a movie that, for me, feels like it absolutely has bought into its own iconography. Like, it's the last movie, the first one, sorry, the 2017 one, to be specific, had, for me, this annoying habit of referring back to the 1990 miniseries. And specifically the visuals in there, rather than going back to the world, going back to the novel, and seeing what they themselves could draw out of it. So, for instance, the bathroom attack in the first movie plays exactly the same as the bathroom attack in the... And the same thing kind of happens with the Chinese restaurant in the second movie.
Which I came out saying, I really liked that scene, though, because it reminded me of the scene in Sleepers.
Yes, I remember you saying this.
Yeah, which I really enjoy, which if anyone hasn't seen Sleepers, where have you been all my life?
God,
I mean,
what a movie.
Call yourself a movie fan. But there's a really... I like having a group of friends who have grown up together, gone through different paths, to sit round a table, albeit in an Italian restaurant in Sleepers or at a Chinese restaurant in It Chapter 2. There's something about that camaraderie, that bringing that group back together, that is really powerful to see on screen, and it works again until it gets all weird.
Well, and that's it, and it sort of allows you to get really comfortable so that they can then attack you with something. For me, the scares don't work quite as well this time around.
I agree.
It is fantastically overlong as well.
Oh, 2 hours and 50 minutes. You should have seen my face. If anyone else was in the screening with us, you would have seen my face the moment Van told me that it's 2 hours, 50 minutes long. And I was like, what? I had plans.
But that's the thing. You do feel like if they had gone and actually made It Chapter 2 rather than It Chapter 1.5 and It Chapter 2 in
then it
one
would have
go,
been justified.
You feel like you could have just had a nice, tidy, maybe an hour and 50-minute movie if they had then done something unique and interesting with, as you pointed out, the whole appeal with the last one. The thing that really sold it was that Stranger Things kind of retro appeal, which was obviously accidental because at that point when they were making that movie, they didn't know Stranger Things was going to be a hit. It was dumb luck and good for them. However, the adult storyline doesn't have anything like that to sell it on.
Do you know why? Because they cut in too many flashbacks, and we discussed this, didn't we?
Yeah.
So the length of the movie, I'll give it a plus point. I'll play a bit of a positive with that length of the movie. I always gauge it by how quickly I look at my watch in this film. And actually, I went through 2 hours before actually even thinking about looking at my watch.
You outlasted me. I was shocked.
Did. Okay. And then the last 50 minutes for me just dragged and became ridiculous. And equally, I found that in the first movie as well. The big crescendo with Pennywise at the end. You're getting something, this is not a spoiler, but there's a crescendo as you'd expect as well. And that for me, you know, it takes the love out of Pennywise, the sinisterness out of him, because it becomes less sinister and more CGI, and that's the problem.
It's funny you say that, because one of the issues I had with Chapter 2, was I felt like it did turn Pennywise into a much more conventional monster.
Yeah, conventional is the word.
And that's it. There was something so run-of-the-mill about him, whereas the first movie had him as this almost Freddy Krueger-like figure.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the very end of the first movie.
I know, I do know.
Most of it, you're getting that sinister element of Pennywise, but actually, in this one, you don't see him enough.
Actually, a friend of mine referred to it as the Ursula the Sea Witch moment.
Oh,
yeah.
I get what you mean.
Yeah, gonna be good to see Disney pull that one off, huh?
I don't know if Gemma Collins is available for that.
Isn't Javier Bardem Triton?
Oh, goodness me.
Anyway, so back to it. So, how many thumbs up, thumbs down shall we give this? I mean, but we can carry on.
It's a really difficult one for me, this one, because I really wanted to love it, because I loved the first one. So there's this added disappointment for me that I didn't.
Yeah.
There are bits that I did love in this. So in terms of the acting and the working with what they had,
True.
It's a big thumbs up for me, because they convey that. The problem I've got is I wanted to be scared. I jumped, don't get me wrong, you saw me. I definitely jumped twice.
Memory serves.
But there's one scene which, this isn't a spoiler, there's one scene where Pennywise is continuously hitting his head against something.
Yes.
And that was so disturbing that I was like, we needed to see more of that kind of stuff. And I hope that's not a reflection on my own personality, that I really want to see more of that kind of stuff. But that's what horror is to me. It's something that makes you feel uncomfortable watching it.
Oh, I've got some videos to recommend you,
Okay,
Becks.
let's not. But then after that, you know, the rest of it kind of lets itself down. We've seen a lot of these kind of horror tricks before. So it's a thumbs up, thumbs down for me. It's still a recommendation. I wouldn't give it a 2-star, you know, because I don't think it's that bad. It's a really well-made movie. But equally, I would not give it a 5-star, which is what some outlets have done. And so you need to go and make up your own mind on this. It's gonna either pick points that are really good for you, that you enjoy, or it's just going to not float your horror boat at all.
I mean, for me, the length really killed it. I mean, it's one of those films that just felt like they've confused length with importance. And there's a lot of filler material in there.
Yeah.
And I do feel like I've watched the extended edition that I would have bought a year from now on Blu-ray.
It could have been an hour and 45 minutes, and it would have been tight, and it would have been full-on, action-packed. and we're done. And that would have been a masterpiece.
But mad shout out for my boy Bill Hader.
Oh,
He
big time.
kills it in this.
Yes, he does.
He is so good in
They
this.
all are. They all are. This is a great ensemble piece.
We want to give a shout out to our friends at Runway East, where we record this show. They're on a mission to provide the world's best office space for startup teams, and they're doing pretty damn well at it. I'm partial to the roof garden myself. They're in London Bridge, Soho, Moorgate, very zen places to work. Give them a peep at runwayea.st. That's runwayea.st.
Coming to your TV this week. Last week we had an absolute bonkers collection of things that just really worked. And do you know what? I'm going to have to say now, Van, you're going to have to walk me and handhold me through this, because I don't think this week's selection, I've seen any of them, but what I am going to say is that I am looking forward to each and every one of these.
Well, I will say it's very obvious that the kids are back to school, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because the offerings have changed tone entirely. It's very actiony this week. For
Well, that's not a bad thing, is it?
It's not necessarily a bad.
Are you
thing.
going to slap my wrist for not seeing some of these?
Nah.
No, because they're quite.
Nah. I
Yeah. Some of them I don't even recognise the name of. I mean, I'm keeping you in suspense.
Well, I'm going
here,
to pitch you. So, okay, we got clips for some, and we'll drop them in where we can. Okay,
right.
so shall I start with Saturday?
Yeah,
for you?
well, that would be a good one. Yeah.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning of our calendar week. So Saturday, Channel 4, 9 p.m. Homefront.
Is this a dog drama?
No.
Okay.
Right, brace yourself, because you are going to want to race out and see this.
Okay.
I think it's actually on Netflix.
I don't have to race anywhere because it's on. It's at home.
Exactly. So that's the convenience of this entire segment. Jason Statham versus James Franco.
What?
Yep, there you go. Boom, done.
Done. Okay.
Yep, done.
Need you hear more? That's either going to win you over or send you flying.
Yeah, exactly. So let's go then to. I will say as well. James Franco was introduced in that movie, nailing Winona Ryder on the hood of a 70s American muscle car.
Do you know what? Am I thinking of the right Franco brother in this? The one that's probably not doing anything now?
What, Dave Franco?
No, Dave Franco is not the one. James Franco, he's not really doing much anymore, is he? He
James-
made a few choice comments.
He did the Disaster Artist, and he's been
No, after
around.
that.
Oh, after that.
Yeah, so of late, shall we say?
I'm not entirely sure, to be
Yeah, I
honest.
think there's some controversy surrounding him.
Okay, so less controversial. Okay, so Sunday, this one I'm surprised you didn't see, actually. So this is The Love Punch.
Right.
This was Emma Thompson and Pierce Brosnan.
What are you saying about me that you're surprised that I haven't gone and watched this?
Because it's such a lovely film. It was just really nice at the time.
Okay.
It came out at a time when things like Transcendence were out, and it was the kind of shiny beacon
What's
in the
it
middle.
about?
So they are a divorced couple whose pension
Sounds lovely.
Yeah, whose pension gets robbed. They can't stand one another. Their pension gets robbed by some evil conglomerate, so they have to go on holiday and do a heist together. Oh yeah.
This sounds like something I'd watch with my granny.
There's always someone bigger behind these things. Someone who manages to wipe their hands clean and move on.
Still allergic to cat hair?
Worse than ever.
Go on, Lumpy, sit on him.
So you got your PhD?
Yeah?
So how's life as a lecturer?
Underpaid.
What are the students like?
Undermotivated. Could you just stop fidgeting and sit down?
When Pierce Brosnan just tries to be a normal bloke,
Yeah.
it just doesn't work.
I love Pierce Brosnan.
I do love him, but he is the victim of a typecast for me.
He's my favourite Bond, though.
No,
Always
I do
will
love
be.
him as well. Yeah, he's like the Bond that was in the absolute pinnacle years for us.
Yeah, well,
watching
yeah,
Bond,
totally.
wasn't he?
So
And
that's-
Emma Thompson, you got to love her as well.
Oh, and that's the thing. Actually, that's where the movie falls apart for me, because it's one of
What?
those movies. That's one of those movies where you just look at them and just think, I can see why you would fall over yourself to be with Emma Thompson, but I cannot see why Emma Thompson, sir, would fall over herself to be with you. You are not in her league. No.
You, sir, are being slightly brutal.
But other than that, really fun movie. Celia Imrie and Tim Spall are the comic relief best friends. They are absolutely fantastic.
Well,
Tim
like I said, I'd
Spall-
watch this
oh.
with my gran, wouldn't I?
You would. Paramount, 7:05 on Sunday night.
Cool.
The Love Punch. So, also on Paramount, this is Monday night, 10:45 p.m. Maybe set the DVR for this one. This is one of my favourite movies to star John Travolta. This is The General's Daughter. A seemingly little-seen 1998 military-based procedural thriller,
Right.
like a solving a murder kind of a movie, but done. It's basically Jag as a movie with John Travolta, and he's pretty good in it.
That's good. Well, do you know what? 95 to 98, it was a really solid year for
The
military
boomiest.
kind of movies. So it doesn't surprise me that you think that this is a good one. John Travolta back in his heyday as well.
The cast in this as well.
Oh,
and
yeah.
These are guys who are like at their peak at that point. It was like, James Cromwell, James Woods, Timothy Hutton. Can we still say James Woods' name? I don't know. Just a really top shelf cast in there, and also loads of young faces who will be famous down the line.
Nice.
But
Okay.
also, I didn't realise this, the murder victim in this movie is James Spader's real life wife. So
Is there some controversy in that? as
no,
well?
that just makes her my Priscilla Presley.
Oh,
So,
right, I
yeah,
see.
yeah.
Okay,
So
right.
I thought you have to look at
God,
that
I
one.
love James Spader.
So that's say 10:45 Paramount on Monday night. Tuesday 4:25 in the afternoon on Sony. I don't know how they've edited this to get this on at this time or anything.
Okay,
'cause
SWAT.
SWAT.
Okay.
Yeah, so we know this now as being a TV show.
Yeah.
Well, actually, a TV show remake of a 60s TV show,
Yep.
of which this was the first remake back in about 2002. It starred Colin Farrell, Samuel L. Jackson, LL Cool J, Jeremy Renner, Josh Clark, Michelle Rodriguez, Ashley Scott.
And no relation to MASH.
And no relation to MASH, although that's a crossover I want to see. Basically, it is the adventures of a SWAT team. It's when basically the adventures.
Wait, you've made it sound like Enid Blyton meets SWAT teams.
Exactly. The Adventures of a SWAT Team is basically their origin story, them sort of training up and becoming the best there is, and then getting embroiled in a case whereby an international cartel drug lord, played by a then Mr. Kylie Minogue, Olivier Martinez,
Right.
who is introduced via the greatest Linkin Park needle drop of all. He gets captured. They're transporting him, and he tells the news cameras, "I will offer like $100 million to anyone who frees me." And the SWAT team then has to protect this drug lord at all costs from this army of armed mercenaries.
I love how bonkers this sounds.
It is absolutely deranged, and it features one of my favourite payoff lines in cinema history,
Go on then.
which is LL Cool J cocking a shotgun, pointing it at a guy and saying, "Tell daddy how you want it." I love that.
Please tell me this was made in the early 2000s, because that line would lend itself to that
Yes,
kind of
it
time
was.
period.
Ladies love Cool James said that, and he said it in 2002.
Amazing.
So, Wednesday, less fun, but it's still pretty good. Haywire. Now,
Haywire, Sony Channel, 10 o'clock.
this stars Gina Carano. This I
Okay.
think her only real mainstream
Film.
lead role. Directed by... she's been in other things. She's going to be in The Mandalorian this year as well. She was
Oh,
in
right.
Fast 6. She was The
Okay.
Rock's partner in
If
Fast
you ever
6.
needed a credit.
There you go. This stars, as I say, Gina Carano. It's directed by Steven Soderbergh. It's got a cast that includes Michael Fassbender, Ewan McGregor, and is about a mercenary who is betrayed on all sides and has to go a bit kind of Bourne meets the accountant kind of a thing, but
Which, I have to say, I did love The Accountant. Terrible title.
Oh.
Great movie.
awful title. What? And they were doing a sequel. What are they going to call it?
No, The Tax Return.
I like it. That works. We'll go with that.
Paul has presented himself as one half of a power couple.
This is your pitch? You want me to be eye candy? MI6 wants me to be eye candy?
Mallory, you were the eye.
I don't even know how to play that. I don't wear the dress. Make Paul wear the dress.
Well, I'll ask. Look, do this, and then we'll go away afterwards. We'll go to Mallorca.
Mallorca?
Not like before. As friends, you can take a break. It's literally 2 days.
Two things in that clip.
Go on.
Both starting with M. There is so many American female characters called Mallory in movies that I've seen. And also the mispronunciation of Mallorca. What is going on?
Yeah, you think-
Mallorca.
You think Ewan would know, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You've seen that clip that's doing the rounds of him at the moment, where he's doing he's filming episode 1, and he's on like a bouncy trampoline doing the lightsaber fight, and he comes off and he just says something that is so brilliantly Ewan McGregor in the 90s.
I love Ewan.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah.
You're going to keep us in suspense with that. Okay.
But so yeah, I can't repeat it. That's the thing. I can't
fine.
repeat it. So
Fine.
Wednesday, Haywire, Sony Channel, 10 p.m. Absolutely check that out. Film 4 on Thursday at 6:55. This is a movie that flew completely under the radar, I think, on this side of the pond, because the remake of Red Dawn was in the news at the time. Had to be re-edited, if you remember, to remove all the the Chinese things.
Yeah.
So this is Tomorrow When the War Began, based on a series of young adult novels, Australian young adult novels, and this is intended as the start of a franchise that never happened. and it's genuinely terrific. It is basically the same plot as Red Dawn, but Australian, played a bit grittier, a little bit more authentic. There's a little bit of a home and away edge to it as well, admittedly, because everyone in it's Australian, so they can't avoid that. And also, it seems there are no unattractive Australians, according to the world of film. So
there aren't.
Yeah. So tomorrow we're in the Wob again, 6:55, Film 4, Thursday.
And then capping off the week.
Dark Man.
Ooh, okay.
Right, so here's a funny story. Back in the late 80s, Sam Raimi wanted to make a movie adaptation of The Shadow, which would eventually get... it was The Shadow, which would eventually get made with Alec Baldwin down the line without him. When they wouldn't give him the rights to that, he invented his own superhero. Now we're going to get to see that. Film 4, 10:50 on Friday night. It stars Liam Neeson and Frances McDormand.
Of course it does.
Yeah, bear in mind this is 1990.
Yeah.
The idea is he's the superhero who, he's the mild-mannered scientist who has the accident, comes back. I think his is that he can change his face to be anyone.
Isn't that Face Off?
And Master of Disguise kind of a thing. And he goes up against a villain named Durant, I believe, who's played by Larry Drake. I just remember they made a really amusingly titled sequel called Darkman 3, Die, Darkman, Die.
Wow, that's a lot of
But and Liam Neeson, I think, only sticks around for the first one, maybe the second. But the first one is genuinely good.
Okay.
And it's Sam Raimi, when he was really starting to figure out how to go mainstream with his horror sensibilities. Is worth checking out.
Nice, will do. And that is everything that you need on your top telly picks, I suppose, shall we say. And then coming up next, we've got your DVD and Blu-rays. Okay, so we have DVD and Blu-ray releases a little bit short this week, I think.
There's nothing streaming, that's why.
No, I know, nothing streaming, which is a shame. But, there's some good movies that you can get if you are old school and still have a DVD or Blu-ray player.
I'm packing up my house at the moment, so I literally have a Blu-ray player.
I know. I threw mine out. I threw mine out and put all of my DVDs out on my front porch to give away to people. And
I have mine's the home cinema system, so I can't get rid of it. I'm kind of stuck with it now.
Oh.
But I'll look to that. But yes,
you just realise like how you haven't watched that stuff in that format
I know.
for however many years.
I know, right?
I gained a whole 2 cupboards back.
I only bought Pixar and Marvel movies as well.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Well, I mean, everything else they
your
kind
DVD collection tells you a lot about a person,
well,
right?
everything else they kind of send us as review copies, but
yes.
Anyways, let's talk about actual DVDs you can buy as a member of the public.
Well, yeah, of course, but I think people like to know a little insight into our lives.
But
and
don't peek behind this curtain. This way madness lies.
I will edge it out, people. Do not worry. I will edge it out and find out a little bit more about Van's dark life outside of this, the cupboard of dreams and dares.
Good Lord.
I know. Right, okay, so coming up on DVD and Blu-ray released this week is Double Date. Kick this off.
So Double Date. This is a movie that was out ages ago, and I think there's been a massive delay in getting this to home platforms.
Right.
I did wonder why I'd never gotten to rewatch it. This is a really fun British horror comedy. I think from 2018, maybe early 2018.
So it has really been delayed.
I think it's about that. And it stars... I forget the names. The young girl from Angus Thongs and Perfect Snogging, and Michael Socha from Being Human, who always seems to turn up in British films lately. He did that
like
one,
This Is England. He was
like
in
This
that.
Is England, yeah. The general premise is you've got 2 male best friends. It's British horror comedy. 2 male best friends. One is about to turn 30.
Okay.
And he is sort of
horror in itself.
Yeah. He's basically the duff. So, he's the designate, he's the wingman, and nothing else. I'm not even going to repeat Duff on the air. But the idea is he doesn't want to turn 30 and he's still a virgin, so his friend tries to hook him up. They meet some girls. They don't seem to realise, however, the girls are serial killers.
Maybe it's just not meant to happen. I've tried everything.
Am I sexy?
Of course you
Yes, I am.
Jesus. Jennifer! I even went on this dating website specifically for virgins, and I got one response from a 12-year-old Chinese boy.
You turn 30 on Sunday, don't you? Right, well, I promise you now, you're going to lose your virginity before you're 30. This is my present to you, my brother. This has got to work fast. Don't think, act off your pop.
Yeah, it's pretty wacky.
Do you know what? I quite like the sound of this.
I do think you'd enjoy it. It was very funny. It was very brutal as well.
Oh, nice. Does it get silly?
It's no sillier than, say, a Shaun of the Dead.
Okay. Well, that's good.
And it's I'd say slightly darker actually than Shaun of the Dead in some ways, certainly visually. But it is worth checking out. I had a good time with it. I was one of those films that when I saw that it was coming out on DVD, I thought, oh, that's cool. I missed that movie.
Do you know what? I do like a good old British movie, like a lower budget British movie that just surprises you. I think that's always a really solid thing. Next up, something very different actually. It's The Curse of La Lorna. Now, I didn't get to see this because, quite frankly, I wasn't really that fussed. But it's from the Conjuring universe, isn't it?
This is first of all, by the way, it's in Spanish, so it's La Llorona. So the idea is you're supposed to rhyme it with My Sharona. That's the whole thing.
But everyone was calling it The Curse of La Lorna.
I've heard it called La Linguini. But I've heard literally every pronunciation of this title you can imagine.
To be fair, for something out of the Conjuring universe, this one bombed, didn't it?
Well, it wasn't marketed up front as a Conjuring spin-off. It dropped at South by Southwest something like 6 weeks before it actually came out. And it was only when they dropped it at South by Southwest that they unveiled that it was actually part of the Conjuring universe.
I wonder if that's because they just didn't have that much faith in it.
I absolutely think that, to be honest. Which is weird because Linda Cardellini's the lead in this.
Oh my goodness, I love Linda Cardellini.
How good is Linda Cardellini, right?
She, if I remember right, she's Mallrats. Like back in the day.
Mallrats?
Was she not, or am I thinking of someone else?
I think you might be thinking of Shannon Doherty.
No. Okay,
Mallrats.
yeah.
I'm going to think of Freaks and Geeks. Because there was that kind of time.
Maybe. There's something from the early 90s, possibly in the Kevin Smith realm.
I think it might be from the sort of the Apatow kind of realm where it was like Freaks and Geeks kind of thing. There was a 90s one, and I don't know, I'll get to it. But anyway, so this stars Linda Cardellini as the social worker mum who inadvertently ticks off a weeping bridal ghost, which then targets her and her family. And they have to have an exorcism.
Of course.
So, yeah, because it's a Conjuring spin-off. There's tertiary connections to other movies. Do you care? No, not really. Linda Cardellini is the best lead actress any of these spin-offs have had yet. However...
She needs more credit for her
Have you seen Dead to Me? On Netflix.
Yes. Do you know what? Yes, I have. I've seen the first couple of episodes of that, and I think she's really strong in that.
She's great in that, isn't she?
Yeah. It's just the show itself didn't really resonate very well.
Oh, I quite liked it. Go on, have you found out what she was in yet?
I am trying to find now.
I can tell you the greatest thing she's been in, and I think we all know that's 2002's Scooby-Doo.
She was also in the Clueless TV series in 96 to 99.
That's
Third Rock from the Sun. She was in one episode of that.
Tonight.
Yeah. I need to work out who I'm mistaking her for in Mallrats. There is someone else.
Should we talk about our last DVD of the week then?
Okay, yes, let's do it. Long Shot.
You must have seen this one.
So this is Seth Rogen and Charlize Theron. Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, and she is like running for president or a political candidate of sorts.
Secretary of State, I think, or something, isn't she? At the beginning? Because there is that joke about her being a great secretary.
Yeah, and then do you know who I was thinking of?
Go on.
It was Claire Forlani.
Oh, Claire Forlani! Yes!
Looks very similar, but also I really liked Claire Forlani.
I was talking to someone recently about a movie she was in, and I could not remember her name to save my life. And the movie was Antitrust, starring Ryan Philippe, Rachel Lee Cook, and Tim Robbins.
I remember that.
Go on, sorry.
Anyway, back to Long Shot. Back to Long Shot. So 2 more modern day stars. This is the problem with us. We'll just start reminiscing about movies from the 90s that we absolutely love. We're the worst. So Long Shot. Do you know what? I watched a bit of it, and then I was a bit like, I kind of get it. You kind of know where it's going to go. I mean, he's like her... Is he a
scriptwriter?
Yeah, scriptwriter.
He's the schlub scriptwriter.
Yeah,
he's
and
like
everyone's like, you guys will
person.
never, ever be an item because you just look so different. All that kind of jazz.
But how does that work with you? Do you date?
Yeah. It's hard to keep those things alive. I mean, who wants to follow me around the world and hope I have 5 minutes to be affectionate?
Yeah.
And honestly, guys don't really want to date women who are more powerful than them. They think they do, but it's a shriveler.
Oof. Shriveler is my favorite Batman villain, though, so. You gonna ask why I'm still single?
No, I get it. It makes sense.
Yeah, it adds up.
This is in some respects, a sweet movie.
Fine, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't set the world alight, but there was a lot of marketing around this when it came out.
But it was a quiet couple of weeks before Avengers, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
That's totally what it was.
But I don't know how well it did at the box office. I think you're right, it's fine as a movie. There's nothing that will set your world on fire. There's nothing that's terribly bad about this. It's an okay storyline. Scriptwriter, scruffy scriptwriter. She's this absolutely beautiful, made together, like power woman. they actually really love each other, and everyone else is a bit like, this is never going to work. They kind of prove it different.
I love that bit in that clip when she said, like most men think they would want this, they don't. You're like, no, lady, most men would commit homicide to breathe your oxygen.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Because Charlize Theron is from another world as well.
She's like an alien space queen.
Yeah, I know, she's amazing, and she's a girl crush of mine. But yeah, so that's it. I mean, we're a bit light on the streaming this week. We've not really got much for you in that respect, but
Double Date and Long Shot are out.
Yeah, you've
Watch
got loads
those.
of stuff. Curse of Lorne, you might want to avoid. But there's loads of things that are coming up next week, actually, which I'm quite excited about. The movies that in the coming weeks are going to be really exciting. So we've got Hustlers next week coming up. J-Lo at 50 on a pole.
I haven't seen a trailer. I've just seen a clip of J-Lo pole dancing. I'm like, okay, that's something that happened.
Yeah,
okay.
that is going to something happen. And then Downton Abbey fans.
Oh, they're going to be happy next week.
They are going to be happy next week. Now, I have never seen an episode of Downton Abbey in my life. So
two.
You've seen two. Good.
Seen
Well,
two.
okay. Well, you're one step ahead of me. I'm going to review this. 2 steps. There we go. I'm going to review this from the perspective of someone who has never seen it. And can you go and watch this movie, or are you bothered if you haven't seen the series and are like a mega fan of this? Because that's the only reason why this is being made. And also on all the posters, it's calling it the cinematic event of the year. I'm not so sure in the year of Avengers Endgame that is the case. That is a bold statement, people.
Better step off, son. Better recognise. Wow.
Yeah, but there's loads of great stuff that
Take some grapes, doesn't it?
I know. All right, calm yourself.
Although,
calm
no,
yourself.
I'm on edge because on the newly unveiled Spider-Man Far From Home Blu-ray cover, the review quote they've chosen to conclude is, "No Endgame for Spidey."
Oh, nice. I see what you got there. This is what Marvel fans.
Yeah, we're having a bad week.
Yeah.
Very bad week.
Okay, so you've got lots to go and see. The smaller films this week are the ones that I think that will get people going to the cinema this weekend, which I think is good. So the shrimpy shrimp film.
The shiny shrimp.
The shiny shrimp.
Absolutely.
There's a lot
do
of
see
S's
that.
in there.
It's so much fun.
Yeah, there's that. And then obviously the big movie is It Chapter 2. I'd love to know if you like it or loathe it, wouldn't you? Because
Yeah.
it really is divisive in itself. But next week we've got some great movies coming up, so stick with us. But for now, I've been Becks Perfect.
I've been back on it.
And this is Offscreen.